Member Ostovar.
Here.
Committee Member Polly seems to be absent. Committee Member Schmidt.
Present.
Committee Member Tregenza. Oh, Committee Member Tregenza. Perfect timing. We were just doing the roll call. Can you please confirm if you're here?
I'm here.
Wonderful. Literally perfect timing. Thank you for joining us. So we do have Committee Member Polly absent, it does look like. And then as for staff, we have Community Development Director Kim Cole, Senior Associate Planner Chris Schmidt, myself, Recording Secretary Jennifer Cleary. And that is it for staff today. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you so much. We are going to open the consent agenda. The consent agenda for today has just the minutes on it. Is there anybody who would like to discuss items on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll take a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the notes from 7 July.
I'll second it.
That was motioned by Bob, seconded by Ed. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. Roll call, please.
Thank you. I will announce, I'll do the roll call vote, and then I will announce the public comment, how to join to provide public comment if there are any comments on the minutes or on items not on the agenda. So as for that roll call to approve the July 7th minutes, Chair Carter.
Aye.
Vice Chair Bluth.
Aye.
Committee Member Hunter.
Aye.
Committee Member Ostovar.
Aye.
Committee Member Polly. Absent. Committee Member Schmidt.
Abstain. No, it's not present at that meeting.
Thank you. And Committee Member Tregenza.
Abstain.
Right, thank you. Give me 1 second to record those abstentions. And then I will announce public comment. Sorry, thank you for bearing with me while I do both minutes and public comment. Okay, so members of the public are encouraged to join our meetings via Zoom Gov, a secure service that connects you live with no lag time. This meeting is also streamed live on youtube.com/City of Monterey with the 10-second delay and Comcast channel 25 with up to a 90-second delay. If you would like to provide public comment, please join the meeting using Zoom or by telephone, making sure to join in time to accommodate delays. To join the meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers listed on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. Since the meeting has started, you will find the agenda under the Recent tab. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, toll free, 669-254-5252, or 646-828-7666. Then enter the webinar ID. If the first phone number does not work for you, please try another listed on the meeting agenda at isearchmonterey.org. The webinar ID for this ARC meeting is 161-914-9563. Once again, 161-914-9563. If prompted for a participant ID, press pound. Detailed instructions for using Zoom are available at monterey.org/public meetings. To provide public comment, use the raise your hand function in Zoom at the bottom of the screen. If you are providing public comment by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters calling in by phone will be announced using the last 3 phone number digits, or if you're in Zoom, we'll use the name you type into Zoom. Public commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak. Please turn off your computer speakers or go to another room while connected by phone, as background noise interferes with the broadcast. Public speakers will be called upon in order of hands raised. and the chair has designated a 3-minute time limit for today's meeting. Currently, I see no hands raised, and once again, to raise your hand, there is a button for that in Zoom, or if you're providing public comment by phone, *9 will raise your hand. And again, this is for the minutes, approval of the July 7th minutes, or comments on items not on the agenda.
Thank you,
Oh,
Jen.
I do see Bob Mannix raising his hand, but I do believe that this is an applicant. So this might be not the right time for that. But I will unmute Mr. Mannix.
Yes, hi, Bob Mannix here. We are not applicant, we're residents in the neighborhood. And we do have some comments. Is this the right time to make those comments?
So Bob, if this is regarding the application for 552 Webster Street, we'll have you make those public comments after we make our presentation and hold that public hearing. However, if you have general public comments, right now would be the time to make them.
I see. Okay, this is specific to 552 Webster, so we'll wait till that comes up.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other public comments?
No, I see no more hands raised.
Okay, great. Then we will close public comments for now and open our first public appearance item, which is 552 Webster Street, Architecture Review Application ARP-21-0994 for a replacement gymnasium. Do we have a staff report?
First, I actually need to recuse myself from my office. There's some work coming out of my office for this project. So,
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you later.
bye.
Bye.
Chair Carter, this is Kim Cole, Community Development Director. Can the ARC see my screen that I shared? Looks good, great. The project site is located at 552 Webster Street, and the specific building that is looking to be replaced is the San Carlos School Gymnasium. The school actually covers several parcels, but we're looking at the gymnasium replacement. And what you see here on the screen is the existing gymnasium. I took the photo from this vantage point because you can see the building. As you go closer to the intersection of Figueroa and Webster, the types of trees that you see in this photograph are more prevalent and it's harder to see the building. The staff's recommendation is that the ARC adopt a resolution approving the architectural review permit for preliminary and final architectural review for the replacement gymnasium with conditions of approval. And a brief project description. The existing gymnasium social hall is right around 3,000 square feet. The replacement structure includes both the first floor and a second floor with a total site square footage, if you combine them, of around 11,000 square feet. The existing parking lot will be restriped. There will be loss of 1 parking space. I think a key issue as this project went in front of the Planning Commission and they were certifying the environmental document that was brought up is the site is archaeologically sensitive. And it's really, I'd say, driven the project design in a lot of ways. The applicant has strived to not dig on this project site, and their proposed, the proposal is to fill the site, to install fill and then have a very unique foundation system so that they don't disturb sort of that area under the footprint of the building. And this is a bird's eye view. It's an aerial photograph of the site. The red teardrop is where the existing gymnasium is located. As you can see, it's located adjacent to Webster Street. There's a very large parking lot in front of the building. Directly behind the building, the structure you see with the white roof is the YMCA building. It's the back of the YMCA. And then adjacent to it, you see the soccer field for the school. And then closer to the corner of Figueroa Street and where the campus is, you see there's a social hall for the building, the school. So this is the existing site plan. It shows the 3,000 square foot building and the proposed gymnasium at 11,000 square feet. The first floor is basically a sports gymnasium. You can see area for the kids to play. You see locker rooms attached and some seating within the gym. And then on the second floor, sort of on each end of the building, you see storage, electrical, and mechanical room. And that's really that second floor that comprises about somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 square feet. So this is the north elevation. This is what the elevation that will face Webster Street. I think of it as a very traditional style building. You can see it has a gable roof, and you'll walk up into the gymnasium. The portion of the building that faces the soccer field, there's sort of a grade difference between the Webster Street side and the soccer field side, and you see the ramp up into the building as you come from the school side of the project. The building from the east elevation and the building from the west elevation. The proposed windows are bronze anodized aluminum frame windows, so they are a divided light window. They're fairly high up on the structure, as we saw, and have a traditional, I think, feel to them. The roof and paint details, the building will be basically painted a warm beige color with an accent of a sort of a brown trim, and then the exterior door, the entrance, will sort of be a brick red. And then you can see some of the traditional railing here as well on this diagram. The piece that I got wrong in the staff report was the roofing material. They actually evaluated a whole series of materials. And you probably remember from reading your staff report, it talks about a metal roof in the shape of a tile. They are now proposing a synthetic panel type material that will interlock and will be and sort of mimic a traditional clay tile roof. It has a lot of dimension to it. It's about a 1/2 inch thick. And after this presentation, Chris Schmidt has the actual example that he can hold up and show you the dimension, so you can see the proposed synthetic material. The lighting was an issue brought up at the Planning Commission level from an adjacent neighbor concerned about there's an existing pole light within the parking lot, and the developer was not originally planning to change that light fixture. It wasn't part of their vision of the project, but the existing light does give off a lot of glare, and the applicant, in response to that, is proposing to replace the light with the fixture shown here. So it's an existing pole in the parking lot that will have a new fixture head that obviously has, sides. It's no longer the fixture won't be below the sides of the, or the bulb will not be below the sides of the fixture, sort of creating that glare environment that it currently has today. On the building, there's a couple wall sconces proposed, and there's the fixture, as well as there's some recessed down lighting that's proposed on the building as well. And so this will fit within the recesses of the building. The Architectural Review Committee findings, you basically are looking to see if the siting form, mass, and architectural style are appropriate for the site and area, and whether or not the project's consistent with our planning documents. The downtown specific plan does contain some guidance for this area. It encourages buildings to use simple rectangular forms. I think this building completely complies with that. And look at flat, hip, or gable roofs. It's a gable roof, so it's complies with that recommended guidelines. In addition, it recommends sort of a traditional style, and that repeated wall elements, including windows, columns, trim, architectural features that create patterns. And I think, as you saw on the elevation drawing with the anodized aluminum divided light windows, at least staff thought there was a good rhythm created and met that design guideline. There's also a finding about views, privacy, or living environment. Staff did not identify any privacy, view, or living environment impacts. And some of the reasons for that is the building, as we saw on the site plan, is significantly set back. There's a fairly existing very large parking lot. There's landscaping surrounding the project site. And this building will sort of be at the back of that existing area. The YMCA building that directly abuts this, it's the back of the YMCA building. So there's not really a visual relationship between those two buildings that exist that would be compromised. And then just looking at the height of the windows, the locations of the windows, the proposed uses, it's a gymnasium. The windows are fairly high up. There's no direct window-on-window privacy issue or view issue over this property that we saw that would be impacted. Lastly, you're looking at the proposed colors, finishes, materials, landscaping, lighting, and all the exterior features that are being proposed and whether or not they're appropriate. And our ARC or the guidelines from the downtown specific get very detailed in this area. They want us to use traditional building materials, materials that convey a handcrafted character, durable materials that have a proven performance in our climate, high quality materials. They're not wanting large panelized products and extensive featureless surfaces, that changes in color and texture can be appropriate, and the use of or predominance of drought native plants. So the building has a very traditional form, especially for the project site, in that it's stucco. The divided light windows can also be found directly within this campus and are a nice feature. You know, the roofing material, the Planning Commission really requested that the ARC look at that carefully. The applicant has spent a lot of time on this issue. They looked at metal, they looked at all sort of tile form, but they are proposing that synthetic roofing material with dimension of about 1/2 inch to provide the feel of a real tile roof, but also minimize the weight or the structural weight of the building on this fill material that exists on the site. So our design guidelines do address lighting guidelines. Exposed bulbs are prohibited. You saw the light fixtures. There are no exposed bulbs. They're fully shielded within the light fixture. All lights have to be directed downwards, and these are. You saw the fixtures. They all point directly down. The piece that wasn't provided on the light specification was the Kelvin temperature. Our guidelines recommend between 27 and 3,500 Kelvin, which is sort of a warmer light for LED lights. And so there's a condition of approval on your contained within the resolution that says the Kelvin temperature shall be verified to be within that range. Lamps are required to be fully shielded. We saw the fixtures, they are fully shielded, and there's a maximum pole height of 15 feet. And in that case, the existing pole in the parking lot is not proposed to be replaced, only the light fixture on the pole to deal with the glare. And as I mentioned, that wasn't really part of the applicant's original vision, but they were trying to address the neighbor's concern. I didn't mention the landscape plan, but the landscape plan that's contained in your packet does include drought tolerant species. It was prepared by a very qualified landscape architecture firm, and we believe meets the intent of the specific plan. So with that, staff is recommending you adopt a resolution approving preliminary and final architectural review for the site. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kim. That was really thorough. Are there any questions for Kim about her presentation? Go ahead, Ed.
I have one. You mentioned in your presentation that the building the foundation on the fill is a new or a novel technique. Has that been used successfully elsewhere? I'm not familiar with that particular technique of foundation for a building.
I don't think I've seen it at this extent before. And I know the architect worked very hard with the contractor and the engineers to develop something that would be much more extensive than that we've seen before. And so Paul Davis, the project architect, I know is on the call and can, I'm sure, speak to the foundation system in more detail. So it is unique.
We'll get to you in just a second, Paul. Are there any other questions for Kim? Okay, great. Then we will have, would the applicant like to make a presentation, or you can start by answering questions, Paul? If you
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me, Paul Davis? All right, great. And thank you for considering this application today. It is unique. From my years on the Historic Preservation Commission with Kim, we know this site is, wow, one of the most historic sites west of the Mississippi. And so we spent a lot of time not only designing a project that would tie into the rest of the diocese campus there, but would also limit any impacts of grading that might disturb archaeologically I'm trying to figure out what the right word would be, but just we just don't want to get into the ground and disturb anything there that's important. We did do some with the under the consulting of an archaeologist. We did do some just scratching of the surfaces, and in one spot we found the top of a wall from the early 1800s, only about 24 inches below in the parking area. So since we knew that would be sensitive, we looked at several different types of foundation systems. One was try to use some large screws that would go down into the surface area instead of large footings, and they would go all the way down to bedrock. But once we analyzed the loads of the building at that point, there would be about 80 of those, which would not achieve the goal of keeping from disturbing any archaeological resources. So this is a post-tension waffle slab. The waffle, there will be plastic forms that form this waffle look to it. Because it's a gymnasium, we need the free span of a steel building with steel frames. And when those come down and land on those columns that are about 20 feet on center, there are very large loads that we needed to not distribute down into a footing, but distribute out into this slab. So we're containing the loads and spreading it out on this waffle slab that is built on top of engineered fill that we will bring into the site. And that will be prepared and contained on site with concrete walls that end up and just land right onto the grade and not dig any farther down. We had a long time area geotechnical engineer, a local structural engineer, and then a specialty engineer to design this slab. The building, and I don't know, I didn't. Maybe if I could have the floor plan up or the site plan up first. I'm sorry I didn't come prepared to put my own plan up there. Could we? Or maybe I'm going to keep on talking. We do the existing building actually was moved to this site from the corner where the new the hall was built, and it was used as a youth hall and a recreation hall. It has a very small court in this facility, and all the request was that we have a junior high school sized court. And so this building is designed for just a junior high school sized court with some viewing possible on one wall, and then just very minimal, thank you, Catherine. And then some minimal facilities. There's the existing footprint of the existing building that's there now. So you can see from our footprint, when we get to the new site plan, how small the play surface was that they have inside this hall. It has a commercial kitchen. We are not bringing that commercial kitchen back into the new project. It will be, we call it a gymnasium, but really it's the physical, it's the PT activity area for all of the students at the school. Since it has a relationship to the bocce ball courts and to the athletic field. So it'll be used for a variety of different student activities, athletics, drama, or just large assemblies. Maybe the next site plan. So you can see the site, this gymnasium size site plan, and sizes the building, and on the plan south and the plan east, or the those are directly on top of where the existing walls are of the existing building. Now we are expanding past those, and that's but that's the structural system that we're using, like I said before, will be all above ground. Maybe the floor plan then, Catherine. So this is the court, locker rooms, storage for tables and chairs, and then restroom facilities. And because we have the height and the structure to be able to play basketball, we wanted to take advantage of the north and south sides to be able to give the school a lot of storage that it doesn't have right now. And in this building will be the offices of the physical education instructors. Maybe, yeah, let's go to the exterior elevations. And as Kim said, we tried to tie this into the architecture that is already in context in this area, in this neighborhood. The colors that are being used are used on the other buildings. The tile, the roof tile is that Chris will show you shortly. There are several different colors in that tile, and so we're going to be able to mix and match them. So there we go. So we're able to take those three colors, and we'll have a mix and match of those on the roof to generate additional of a sense of age and volume of the lookalike tiles that we're proposing. And it's important for us because we are really trying to limit the weight as much as possible on the building for this foundation system. We first proposed a molded metal sheet that looked like barrel tiles. This is a little bit more than that, but we've been able to fit under the design parameters of the building. We were using some suspended ceilings in between the steel beams just to finish it off inside the building, but we're removing that weight as well, just to give us an extra safety factor. But yeah, these are the color finishes, and we really want to try to be respectful of its setting and use even good finish materials in the hand railings. The lighting is very, very subtle. When you look at this, go back to the elevation. Yeah, where that door inset is, right above that door inset, is where that downlight will be. So it'll just light in front of provide light in front of the door and not spread out from there. All of the other small light fixtures are just lighting the side of lighting the ramps and the stairways on the north and south side. So we aren't going to be ringing the building with those other wall sconces. I talked about the roofing and the weight and the variation of color that we can get with those colors that you see there. The structural system that does add about 2 feet to the height of the building, but at least it helps preserve the archaeological resources that we know that exist on the site. And we just hope that a very traditional design and look will fit in with the rest of the buildings that the diocese has on these blocks. And I'd be available for any questions that anybody might have.
Are there any questions for Paul? I can't see everybody, so if you have questions, you can go ahead and speak up.
So the roof is primarily the roof tiles are primarily being utilized because of weight issues, and that's because of that new foundation technique that you're trying to utilize.
Yes, yeah. I mean, natural clay tiles or cement tiles, the weight of those would just make the project more difficult. Mm-hmm. And so this is a kind of a composite tile that will weather very well. The color is all the way through that material, and it provides a dramatically different reduction in weight from regular clay tiles.
Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that if you used regular clay tiles, you just wouldn't be able to utilize the foundation technique that you're.
Well, it may require a much thicker floor section. Right now, we have about a 15-inch concrete floor section with all of these waffle voids in that. So we would have to increase that size of thickness. And that would raise it out up a little bit more. Also, if you saw any of the flagging, the roofs are high, and so I think from a distance, it really will tie into the other roofs that are in that area on the block.
And if the ARC is interested, Chris, if you could unmute yourself, if you can hear me, and just show the roof material. I know he's on the call.
Yep, I'm here. Everybody can see that. So this was the Antigua one of the three. So it kind of has this kind of mix of you can kind of see the darker color in the middle there. It gives it kind of the stress, kind of aged look where Paul's looking to blend all of the different kind of three colors. This gives a little bit more of that antique, a little bit of a color change there.
And can you show the dimensions? So it's a fairly thick, like the edge of it. Yeah. So if you're from below and looking up, you'll see the edge, and the edge is fairly thick. I think it was about a 1/2 inch. Yeah.
And that profile is really similar if we were to use a simulated clay tile in concrete. Really the exact same thickness and height of the barrels. So it's really a good material that's close to that look.
Yeah, I'll add it's really light, but it feels really solid too.
Great, thank you for that. Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we will move into public comment. Jennifer, do you want to let us know how to join?
Sure do. Sorry, let me just pull up my cheat sheet. Okay, so to join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers listed on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. Since the meeting has begun, you will find the agenda under the Recent tab. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864. Once again, 833-568-8864. That number is toll free. If it does not work for you, we do have other options provided on our agenda, again at isearchmonterey.org. You will need a webinar ID to enter the meeting. This webinar ID is 161-914-9563. Once again, 161-914-9563. If prompted for a participant ID, press star. Detailed instructions for using Zoom are available at monterey.org/public meetings. To provide public comment, use the raise your hand button in Zoom at the bottom of the screen. If you are providing public comment by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Right now, I do see one hand raised, and that is Mr. Mannix. I will unmute you now.
Yes, hi. This is Bob Mannix. I'm at 535 Webster Street. We're essentially directly across from this proposed project. I think, first of all, I'd like to thank Kim Cole for keeping us in the loop and informed. And I think she may have been instrumental in getting that parking lot light taken care of. But I'm also on this call with my wife, Melissa, and I think I'm going to let her start with her question first. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Melissa Mannix. As Bob said, we live across the street. We really want to express our appreciation first and foremost for the change in the parking lot light. That really is going to have a huge impact, not just on us, but we believe on the neighborhood. It's going to have a positive impact to have a dark sky compliant light there. So we really do appreciate that consideration and that change. My question, and Bob has one after I do, but my question is concerning the other lighting that Mr. Davis was talking about on the front, the north face of the building. This was represented by the letter B. I looked at the specs of these lights and they are not dark sky compliant. And I just wondered if that could also be considered a potential change. I know that they don't look like much, but we are actually down in elevation from this project. It sits above us. So we're a little bit more impacted by very bright LEDs. And so it was difficult to tell from the specs. This is the Stonco Light Pro wall sconces. It was difficult to tell exactly what the radius is going to be from those two lights that are on the face of the north face of the building. So that's all. I just wanted to see if that could also be considered as a dark sky compliant fixture, since there are only two of those. And I will now turn this over to Bob, who has a question as well.
The other comment I would like to make with regard to the structure itself is the expansive length and width and height. We're looking at the flagging across the street. It's quite imposing, but it lacks relief. It lacks much in an architectural element, except for the windows and maybe a few exposed rafter tails and the likes. So looking at the landscape detail, and of course that's an extensive detail. It's always the last thing that gets done for obvious reasons. And that between the kindred spirit oaks and the crepe myrtles, that should go a long way toward breaking up those long horizontal and vertical lines. And they're proposed as 15-gallon plants. I would only ask that possibly a more mature tree be considered to help facilitate breaking up these long lines and these expansive plains. I think that's the extent of our comments on this project from an architectural review point of view.
Thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
Are there any other public comments?
We do have 5 attendees and I do not see any hands raised. So just a quick reminder to raise your hand in Zoom. There is a button at the bottom of the screen. If you are providing public comment by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when you are called upon. And I do see no hands raised still, so I will let you know if that changes.
Thank you, Jennifer. We will then close public comment for now. If somebody joins in and wants to speak, we'll of course take their public comments. We'll move into committee member comments. Does anybody have anything?
Just for me, the response to the one of the questions posed there is the radius of the footprint of that sconce that was mentioned. Does the applicant have a response or an answer to that question?
We are happy to come up with another light fixture that we can prove first that the throw can be controlled, and that would be a night sky. So we'll definitely work on another fixture type.
Thank you for that.
And on the landscaping, we can talk to. I'll talk to Mike Bellinger. Sometimes with certain local native type of plantings, they actually grow faster at 15 gallon than being larger, just because they may not have been grown in this area. So I'll talk to Mike Bellinger about that, a BFS architect, and if he feels that starting off larger will be okay, then I'm sure we can make that change.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, I had a similar comment when I took horticulture from Al Graham at NPC. He always said that a 1 gallon Monterey pine will pass and surpass a 15 gallon Monterey pine in about 15 years, or about 5 to 10 years. So it's not always putting in the biggest plant that will give you the biggest end result.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. If not, then I'll take a motion.
Okay, I'll give it a go. I move that we approve the architectural review application ARP-21-0094 for a replacement gymnasium at 552 Webster Street, with the applicable conditions for approval that have been outlined in the staff report.
Thank
Second
you.
that.
Thank you, Patrick. Is there any further discussion on this motion?
I guess I just have a question.
Sure.
The applicant offered to a dark sky and controlled light on the fixtures on the building. So I want to know if that's part of your motion. And then the additional condition is that he'll investigate with the landscape architect if an increased gallon size of those trees would result in, I guess, how do you phrase that? Would result in better landscape coverage for the project. Is that part of the motion? Okay.
Yes.
Did you get all that, Jennifer?
No, it would be really helpful if somebody can repeat that.
Sure. So Jennifer, okay, go ahead. I think it was as proposed in the staff report with an additional conditions.
Right. Do you want me to restate the motion?
I have up to as submitted in the staff report, so I just need to capture that additional approval.
And the addition of the change to the lighting fixtures or sconces that were mentioned, and the applicant will look into the size of plants that are relevant for the landscape architecture.
That work? Kim, Jen? Great. Okay. We'll do a roll call vote. Thank you, Jennifer. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
We're here firing away at this keyboard. Okay, would you like me to repeat what I have of the motion?
That would be great.
I can also refine it later when I'm reviewing.
Yeah,
So
that'd be great.
what I have is the Architectural Review Committee approved architectural review application ARP 210094 for replacement gymnasium at 552 Webster Street as submitted in the agenda report with additional conditions, with the additional condition of changing the sconces as discussed, and the understanding that the applicant will look into planting smaller trees as part of the architecture.
I thought it was larger.
You're right. Thank you for that correction. So just again, with the additional condition of changing the sconces as discussed, and the understanding that the applicant will look into planting larger trees as part of the architecture.
Does that sound right to you, maker of the motion?
Landscape architecture.
Of the landscape architecture. Thank you for that. Does it sound good to?
Ed's nodding his head, so I think we're okay. How do you?
Yes, that's.
You're both on board with it? All right. Let's see if the rest of you are on board with it. Chair Carter.
Aye.
Vice Chair Bluth.
Aye.
Committee Member Hunter.
Aye.
Committee Member Ostavar is recusing from this item, and Committee Member Polly is still absent. Committee Member Schmidt.
Aye.
And Committee Member Tregenza.
Aye.
Thank you. That does pass with 5 of you voting to approve.
Great. Thank you all. Thank you everybody for your participation today, and thank you, Paul Davis and Catherine. This resolution can be appealed to the Planning Commission within 10 days. Do we have any other? I'm excited to see the gymnasium done. It'll be great. I drive by there all the time. So, do we have any other staff reports or committee member comments?
I have a quick question for Kim. When we start the in-person meetings at the at City Hall, will we still have an ability to zoom in on that, or will the public have an ability to participate via Zoom, or will we be back just 100% in person?
So the direction on that's been changing back and forth, but the direction as of this week is because Monterey County is now recommending that we wear masks again. You don't have to, but recommending it. The city manager said we will have both the Zoom in function as well as the in-person. So you'll be able to attend the meeting either way. At our last council meeting, I think we had 3 council members that showed up in person and 2 that did it remotely. And we'll also accept calls, public, participation remotely as well. We do plan to start this at your meeting in August. So the only other thing I want to add about that, and I'm going to say what the rule is today, and it may very well change next week based on what's happening with health orders. If you have completed your vaccination or it's your attestation, and if you've agreed to report to the city, we will have a printout from our HR department that Jennifer can share with you whether or not you've gone through the whole process. If you have, then you don't have to wear a mask in the council chambers. If you choose not to attest, then you do need to wear a mask. And so you're being treated the same as staff is being treated for those rules. I will say that at the first council meeting, our council members didn't have masks on that had gone through this process. At the last meeting, everybody in the council chambers was wearing masks. So we'll be following up with you to let you know whether or not you filled out all the paperwork properly. I'll be the first to admit I filled out mine wrong to begin with. I did all the DocuSign document. I uploaded my vaccination card, but there was one other screen you had to go through to submit, and you had to hit click. And so if you got a message from the system that said you need to finish it, it's probably because you forgot those last 2 steps. And it made me go back through and redo it all. Now, it wasn't that big a deal, but that's what's happening is that so in addition to docu-signing the vaccination attestation, then you have to hit the submit button. And if you didn't do that, then it's not going to show up in the HR database. So just so you know.
Thank you, Kim.
Kim, in addition to that, if we're resuming in-person meetings at City Hall, are we going to be doing road trips again, or is that still on hold until further notice?
So I'm thinking we can do field trips, but I'm just not sure we're all going to be in the van together, is what I'm thinking. So I'm wondering if there's a way to do it that we give you all an agenda and say we're going to meet at this site, and then we all meet there with our individual cars, so we're not in an enclosed space together. That's where I would like to get. I don't know whether we're going to be there for the first meeting in August. Because as you probably read, I unfortunately am going to be out of the office for a little bit, and I'm not sure that detail is going to be resolved before I come back. Now, Jennifer and Chris or Christy may be able to resolve that with our HR department, etc. So I'll just say we will strive to reinstate field trips. Their form, I'm not sure yet.
The other thing, I wish you the best with your surgery. So hope all goes well.
6:30 tomorrow morning. They just moved it up again. Thank you.
And our first meeting, Kim, in August is on the 4th.
I don't know. Let me look. Sounds about right.
It is the 4th.
Okay.
Do we
My
have any-
birthday is the 3rd, so that's why I know when the 4th
Yeah, you're right. The 4th is Wednesday.
Okay, perfect. Are there any other questions or staff comments? All right, seeing none, good luck with your surgery, Kim.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you in person, hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.